Welcome back to episode 4 of the Romans podcast. Recording this earlier than we usually do, but probably going to release it on the same day. We're not sure yet. After the weekend's game, I think I immediately wanted to just get into this podcast room and be completely honest about what we witnessed in Maidstone at the weekend. We have a guest on the podcast today, George. It might help if you swing your mic around for a start. and put it up a bit closer to your mouth. Yeah, there we go. You were there with me at Maidstone of the weekend. How did you find the day? Your first ever Bath City away day?
Yeah. Technically, obviously my first away because obviously I was at Weston, but I mean, I live in Weston, so it wasn't really an away day for me. But no, it was fun. Obviously we went down all the way to Maidstone, made the long trip. Obviously we went through London as well, so we spent a bit of the day in London. But obviously it was quite a long trip to get there by the time we finally got into Maidstone. And yeah, obviously the football disappointed slightly, but it wasn't the best outcome for us, obviously. But I feel like, as a whole on the away day, it was quite fun. And as you always say, part of the fun of away days is just exploring the town and going to these places.
But I thought Maidstone was actually all right town, to be fair. You go to so many different towns in this league, and you're expecting just a soulless UK town or whatever, but I thought Maidstone was all right. It had some nice spoons and nice pubs. Actually, I say it had nice pubs. It didn't actually have many pubs. It had like 2 spoons. I don't think we really found any other pubs than that.
That's all you need.
Yeah, but I mean, on the whole, Maidstone, good away day, and I think everything besides the football on that day for us, because obviously I'm an Arsenal fan as well, and I had to witness us lose to Villa in the Maidstone bar. And I also, you also in London when we were watching it in the Dickens Tavern near Paddington, Liverpool fan, 3-3 Leeds. So basically, our happiest moment of football on Saturday was rebelling in each other's failure, basically.
Yeah, pretty much, because I sort of laughed in your face when Buendia scored the winner, and then you gave me back as good as I got when Tanaka scored that equaliser against Liverpool. Which was a sad way to end our time in London. Football depressing all round, but
it was
you
a good
just
day.
got to expect it nowadays.
Of course.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. But like you said, Maidstone, I really knew nothing about Maidstone, the area. I couldn't have really even told you where it was before we went there. But it was a surprise, really, because when we got there, it sort of seemed like, it's just sort of your typical, small town, go down the high street, you've seen, them tennerpenny in sort of those smaller towns. But, as we walked on, it's bigger than I thought. And, there was a decent amount there, so it was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Other than they don't have a single pub there that shows the football.
They've got an all right stadium.
But
I would say that
nice.
their ground is one of the best.
Nice.
But they did charge quite a lot to get in, though. The student ticket was about 15 quid, and usually at most grounds it's between 9 to 11 quid. So, it was a good ground. It wasn't 15 quid student entry worthy, to be honest. But, besides that, enough about the day itself now. More so about the football. So we've got, of course, Ollie and Joe here as per usual, my co-hosts, and you two have both seen the highlights. First of all, from a perspective viewing it after the game, on video, how did both of you find it? We'll start with Ollie first.
I'll just backtrack for 5 seconds and then I'll get to it. A positive, I really liked how the ground looked as well. So when you see the highlights from a highlight, it looks
enough about the ground though. We want to hear about the football.
I'm trying to keep these things happy. I'm trying to keep things positive.
Okay, yeah, but that's not what we want. We want to challenge. We want to bring in a bit of hot takes.
I hated the look of the ground.
I don't like it. Right, okay, so it was a weird one seeing the Bath lot coming out in a different kit today. When you saw them coming out in the white shorts, and I'm quite fussy when it comes to the football kits, especially when you have black and white, then you have black sleeves, and then you got white shorts. It's a bit of an interesting one. We had that recently with the odd down with the mismatching kits. And then you see how the game flows along and everything. And I had a very good view of you, Oscar, when I see you on the highlights, especially down the end of the line, which we'll get to. Yeah.
Well, there was a moment in those highlights, which we'll get into a bit later, when there was a 50-50 challenge, and you can see how mental we all go behind the goal over it.
Yeah, exactly. But and then as you see the game flowing, I mean, I'm not going to be able to pull out many positives from this. Just the referee. Yeah. The referee's decision.
He absolutely lost the plot. Genuinely, I don't know. I did say in the first podcast, I'm always nice to referees, and I didn't think there'd be a worse referee performance than Lewis Smith in the Dorking game this season. But genuinely, in the first half, ref was completely fine. We've had that ref before this season in Chesham away. He was completely fine then. I don't know what happened in that second half to spark this, but it was ever since that penalty decision, he kind of just lost his head like massively. Like it wasn't just, the penalty and the red card. That was a insane decision that we'll get into in a little bit, but he was kind of just dishing out yellows left, right and centre for absolutely nothing. Basically, a Maidstone player gets booked after they score the penalty, and I'm like, what's that all about? There's no, I watched the highlights, there's absolutely no description on what that was whatsoever.
It did seem bizarre, and there was obviously one very questionable decision which looks like it changed the nature of the game quite significantly, and it is upsetting because you look at the highlights for the rest of the game, and it looked like there was a really good game going on. It was, chances for both teams, some really nice football.
If I'm being honest,
there's that.
After we go down to 10 men, I kind of just I only remember how we played with 10 men, and it was very much the momentum of the game was all Maidstone. So after I was coming back from that game, I was like, oh, it was disappointing. We didn't really create many chances. But I watched back the highlights, and I actually realised the first half was actually way more 50-50 than I remember it being. I think Maidstone still had the better chances, but we were actually creating chances even if they were, going wayward of the goal. It was a 50-50 momentum game. It was a game that was destined for a 0-0 draw. And it's funny because that referee, the other game he's refereed for us this season, was the most boring 0-0 draw that I think I've ever seen, Chesham versus Bath City. So maybe that's the reason why he wanted to, change the game, give a red and spice things up a little bit. He was tired of just seeing Bath City draw 0-0 when he was refereeing them.
And then, as well as the fact when you see how a referee performs, especially with the referees that we've seen in most National League games this season, and particularly this game here, do you think it's the thing of obviously not biased towards other team, but maybe a ref lets the power go to their head when the ref goes, I can do what I want? That seems
I'll get into this real quick because I think at this level, especially National League level, National League South level, think about it, right? Your job as a referee, your part-time job or your full-time job as a referee, how are referees noticed? Referees can have a really good game and their name is never heard of. Referees can have a really controversial game where they make a controversial decision or a big decision, like a red card, a penalty, and suddenly their name is known. The referee's name, Ayrton Hursey, not really sure exactly how to pronounce his name as such, but I think I've got that right, Ayrton Hursey. And the thing is, right, is that he would not have been known. I wouldn't have searched his name, wouldn't have looked up his name if he hadn't made that controversial decision. So I think a lot of referees at this level, they want to be known. They want to make that big decision and be because if they got it right, they're they get a lot of praise for it. They make a good decision in the moment. They're like, oh yeah, that was a red card. He saw that and he was very correct with it. But obviously it wasn't the right decision, in my opinion. If I'm being honest, when I saw that red card, what I can see Charlie Binns doing there is, he spills the ball a little bit. He's going to catch it. The contact is actually from behind him, and he's not got any control about what's going on behind him. It's basically what he's doing here is he's trying to reach out for the ball. And the player behind him, I think it was more of Maidstone, kind of just runs over him and trips up, So if I'm being honest, the penalty looks like it's the striker that initiates the contact. And I don't know if you two think the same or you think the same.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not it's a foul by Charlie, there is also the situation of you're sending him off and you're giving a penalty. Is that not double jeopardy when he's supposedly, if you make a genuine attempt for the ball, you're not meant to send off the player?
That's exactly what I was shouting in the ground. You saw it. Yeah. You saw it, didn't you? Me shouting in the ground double jeopardy, and I was explaining the rules to everyone in the ground because I think a lot of the older fans of Bath are unsure about the rule because obviously double jeopardy is relatively new in football. So it's a lot of people are like, oh yeah, red card, penalty, that happened all the time back in the day. But double jeopardy is a new rule, and I'm not sure whether the referee knows that. It'll be very concerning if he didn't, that it's a new rule in football and he didn't know about it. And I genuinely, unless the red card was for some, blatantly really bad dissent, that's the only thing I can think of. Either the referee, Ayrton Hursey, does not know the rules of the game, or Charlie Binns said something so outrageous to him that he got a straight red for dissent.
I imagine he just saw it wrong.
It was not a yellow and a yellow. It wasn't like he got a yellow for the foul and then a yellow for dissent afterwards. It was a straight red. And I mean, it was described as a denial of a clear goal scoring opportunity on Maidstone's Twitter. I don't think anyone actually knows unless we hear it from the referee himself, because to me, the thing that makes the dissent idea a little bit more plausible maybe is the fact that Charlie Binns says something outrageous to the referee, gets a red card, and immediately after this, a Maidstone player just gets booked randomly, and then later on through the game, Brad Ash does a bit of dissent to the assistant ref as well. He also gets booked. So maybe something was exchanged, because, I mean, you can see how animated Charlie Binns is in this video. You've all seen it. And he was getting a little bit, riled up, a bit angry with everything that was going on, the decision and everything. So I genuinely think that could genuinely be a reason, the fact that maybe the referee saw the foul, was like, okay, that foul's a yellow. It wasn't a denial of a clear goal scoring opportunity. But then Charlie Binns continued to be a bit nasty, and the referee just kind of forgot to do the double yellow.
I think that would be the explanation if it's 2 yellows, simply just after another. But it's a red.
Yeah. It can't be a straight red for either the double jeopardy rule, which we've covered, and it can't be a straight red for dissent either. So the only thing that can be in Ayrton Hursey's defence here, which it still doesn't even make any sense, because you can't really defend this decision. It was a wrong decision. It probably wasn't even a penalty. I mean, it's a bit more controversial whether it was a penalty or not. Like, a lot of Maidstone fans kept coming up to us and they were like, we think it's a penalty, but we can't say it's a red card. A lot of Maidstone fans were honest about that. From a Bath point of view, you'd say it's neither. But the main decision is it could not have been a red card for Binns if it was a foul, because double jeopardy. It could not have been a red card if it was for dissent, because you've got to give a yellow first. So the one thing in Hursey's defence, which it still doesn't work because he still made the wrong thing doing it, is that he didn't show 2 yellows and just did the 2 yellows in one.
For me, I think what's probably happened is that how he's seen it in the moment is that Binns isn't making an attempt for the ball. Yeah, and he's just bundled into him. That's, I think, what he probably saw.
I'd agree. I think that
it was a crowd of players.
Yeah, that's what he thinks. I don't think it's for dissent at all, because I just think you don't give a straight red for dissent. Even if it's something awful, it's always a first yellow, then a second yellow. So I think dissent, is out of the question. I think I'd agree with you. I think, he just doesn't see it as an attempt to play the ball. Or maybe he's got the double jeopardy rule wrong. He could have done. And I think especially, a young ref, it's right down, Maidstone's end. So you've got the home crowd on you. There's a lot of pressure to make a decision like that. But obviously it completely changes the game, not only because player sent off, obviously penalty as well. So you're changing the game. But it completely changes the flow of the game. Obviously, all the Bath players are quite rattled because it's a very contentious decision. The Bath fans are rattled. And then on the flip side of that, the Maidstone players, that'll feed into them. They'll get confidence from that, The opposition's rattled. The Bath fans are getting on their back. You could see the Maidstone keeper taking joy, because obviously he was, right in front of us. Joy in us all being rattled. So it completely changes the game. So it's such a huge decision to make. But I don't think it's a surprise that sort of young refs at that level are going to favour the home crowd, especially when the home crowd are right in front of them.
And
so, it's probably why you get those contentious decisions. If
and
that's at Twerton Park, I don't think that same decision is
made. Well, you say that, but I think we're the only team in the league that doesn't get the home advantage when it comes to referees. But funny, you should say that, because obviously I've done my research as always. And the 2 assistant referees, we put something about this on the Society story. The 2 referees of that game, I'll say it just now. So, home advantage, questions need to be asked at the FA and Enterprise National League regarding both assistant referees selected for Maidstone United versus Bath City today, who are both members of the Kent FA. So, on ground surface, 2 assistant referees from Kent refereeing a side in Kent. To add to this, putting it into perspective, Maidstone United are the 2nd most supported club in Kent after Gillingham, and obviously Gillingham are a Football League side, so they are the most supported non-league side in Kent. So why wouldn't the Kent FA, want the Kent team to win? To me, I know it's the sort of team. You can, for one like side of the story, you can see it's not the sort of league that would be able to bring in refs from other places, but having one referee from the Kent, having one assistant referee from the Kent FA, that's fine. Having both of them from the Kent FA, both of them who are the only 2 other people besides the main referee, Ayrton Hursey, who could make this decision, why are both assistant referees from the Kent FA, both of them are from near Maidstone area as well, why why can you have two assistant referees from the Kent FA, who are the ones who are influencing the main ref's decision? To me, that seems a bit unfair, a bit controversial. I don't understand. There must be many referees based in London, the London FA. Why not just get a referee team from London, get them a train down to Maidstone, and then that way they're in between the southwest and the southeast. There's no like general county bias there.
Yeah, and I think even if, there wasn't bias from the ref, by having a ref from Kent or the surrounding area, you're asking the fans to, make that interpretation. You're allowing them to do that and to say maybe, there is bias here. So even if there isn't bias, you're still allowing that to happen. So the best thing for everyone would to just be, like you said, Oscar, just sort of source refs from elsewhere. Obviously, it's more difficult, but, it seems sort of a no-brainer, really. You don't get a ref from Kent to referee a team in Kent.
I mean, unfortunately, with these things, you never really know how it's going to
No,
turn
of
out.
course.
No, exactly. And the fact that it is extremely convenient that it is the second most supported team, and then you have people from the surrounding area officiating that game.
Yeah.
It does seem a little bit suspicious, but at the same time, especially within the National League, not the EFL, not the Prem, not anything. Yeah, especially with National League, you never really know how it's going to go out. It's completely different sort of game of football, completely different. And unfortunately, we do see the effects of that every day. So
I think, it's not something which we would be speaking about had we won that game.
Yeah,
and
no.
It probably happens more often than you
that's-
think. And it's probably just because it was the people who were available in the area.
Unfortunately,
Like-
and like you said earlier, Oscar, with the whole the fact that no one knows, a referee will do a decision and then no one know who refereed the game, and then the second that a referee does a decision such as a yellow or a red or a sending off, something like that, everyone knows who refereed and officiated that game, and then it gets spread out to the fans, and then the fans make up either their opinions or they look into it or they research it, and again, bit of cough, and again. With this, we're never really going to know what it was, whether it was a case of biasy, whether it was a case of they thought, whether they were the only refs available, or they volunteered or whatever. We're never going to know. And unfortunately, that is the sucky part of it, as well as coming back from a loss. Now, if you said if we did win this game, or if it was a tie or whatever, it wouldn't have been, or how it was playing out in the first half of the game, if it was a scrappy 0-0 or an evenly chanced.
I completely disagree with what you say there,
Ooh,
because I think I think while you can defend the fact that they are the only referees available in that area, this is the National League, right? It's not like this is a tier 10 game. This is a tier 6 game, and a tier 6 football, there's enough money nowadays in tier 6 football, because it's growing. There's so many clubs now that are run by proper owners. A lot of money is pumped into the club. It's televised. There's 1,000 fans that go to this game. So for a football game that has 1,000 fans going to it, yes, you can say that they have the referees available in the area, but having two referees, both assistant referees from Kent, one of them from Essex, that was the main referee, Ayrton Hursey. But to me, it's you see some of the decisions these assistant referees make. There was one 50-50 incident where Brad Ash, I think, barges into a Maidstone player. Maidstone player goes on the floor, handballs it. Was not enough for him to go down in the first place, without a doubt. And then, you can see the Bar fans go mental behind the goal. Lino gives the decision to Maidstone, and just various points like that. And we've had that assistant referee before against Slough. He was a lot less biased in the Slough game. Why do you think that is? Because Slough aren't a team from Kent. And, it's I just think that there should be, and I know it's difficult in this level of football, but it's still possible. At the end of the day, there's so many referees. There's so many people in the South who live in the South who would want to be referees. And having one assistant referee from Kent is fine. But if you're going to have one assistant referee from Kent, the other assistant referee needs to be from somewhere different. I'm sorry, because they're all county based here. And if you want a bit more trivia here, I'll just have a look at this, because I was talking to my mate Chef Chris about this. The referee Harrison Clark, the assistant referee Harrison Clark, which was the one we had at the Slough game as well. He made some insanely bad decisions in that game. He did the Brad Ash one, and he has been mentioned in a Kent FA Awards ceremony article. And don't quote me on this. This is just what I understood from the article. It's a bit of an unclear article, but from what I read here, he has been mentioned in the same article, an awards ceremony where the Maidstone United executives were in attendance and also won an award for something. So he has been at an awards ceremony that Maidstone have won and Maidstone executives were there at. Now, obviously, we're just speculating here, but at an award ceremony, it's a very social thing. You know, it's a very social event where you're speaking to a lot of people. You're probably like you're networking, kind of like think about it, he's a young referee. He's won an award, young referee. He's going to network for other clubs. If Maidstone executives or someone from the Maidstone United club was at this place and it's an award ceremony, surely, you know, at drinks he would get talking to them. So that's the issue with having referees from the Kent FA is because they might personally know people involved with the club. Think about how big Kent is as an area. Maidstone, the second biggest supported team in Kent. Like, if you're thinking about it, like, it's such a big club in that area that these referees probably know someone associated with that club, and they're probably friends with someone associated with that club. So that is the issue about getting county refs in, especially when Maidstone are like quite a highly supported team. I mean, if it was maybe Ebbsfleet, who are a bit closer to London, more sort of out, like still Kent, but outside that area, or like, you know, Dover is still quite supported, but like they're like right at the edge of Kent. Maidstone's like central Kent. It is the county town of Kent. And we saw that when we saw it. It's the county town of Kent. So it's the second most supported team. It's the county town. And you're going to have referees from the Kent FA who are going to know personally people associated with that club. And people associated with that club, you know, there could be messages being like, jokey, being like, oh, make sure you give us all the decisions today. You know, it's all speculation, but it's more likely to happen. And that's exactly the reason why we should not have referees from the Kent FA, assistant referees, in charge of influencing the main referee's decision. By all means, have one of them, that's fine. But you need to have the other assistant referee from a different place. Because if they're both from the Kent FA, they're both going to agree with each other. It's going to be enclosed decision making, and everything's going to go in the favour of Maidstone. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. I think there's definitely something to be looked into there, but we obviously don't know anything. And I thought it might be good to reflect on our own performance a little bit. So, George, did anyone impress you at all at the weekend?
So I think it's interesting, really, because it is a tale of two halves, basically. I would have said that, you know, Charlie Binns had a very good performance in the first half before he got sent off, because, I mean, we were under a lot of pressure from Maidstone. I think I said to you, Oscar, that we said to each other that we were lucky to get in 0-0, even if I don't think it was, you know, totally dominant by Maidstone. They had a couple of really good chances that either went wayward or Binns made a good save. I think we were lucky at that point. I think even though obviously the red changed the game, I think Maidstone was still the better team. So I do think it wasn't our best performance, although I would agree that we actually did have more chances than I remember.
There was certainly an absence of Will Jenkins-Davis.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll say that without him, and this is no discredit to the rest of the team whatsoever, I'm saying this as a good thing, the fact that everyone in the team works with him so well that when he's taken out of that team, they look a bit lost. And that's not me saying that all the other players are bad. It's just Jenkins-Davis is such a good leader and such high work rate that he just has such good chemistry with everyone on that pitch. And when he's out injured, you can clearly notice that difference. It's like every team is going to have a star player no matter what. Like Weston-super-Mare have Louis Britton. If he gets a bad injury, season might change for them. And same with like Chippenham, for example, as bad as I don't want to mention them in the podcast, but right at the start of the season, Chippenham had their striker Harry Parsons, who, you know, he's without a doubt their best player probably, scores twice, gets a season-long injury, and ever since then they've been 24th. So similar thing happens to Will Jenkins-Davis. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to have to. I think the same sort of thing happens for us. You have a star player, you have that player who stands out, and that's not to say the rest of the team aren't that great. It just means that he is the one that everyone works better through.
When we're losing some of that sort of linkage and attacking forward play, do you think it was the wrong decision to not start Alves? Because he brings quite a lot of that for us often. Yeah,
I mean, I think Jordan Alves is a quality player, and there's no doubt about that. He was excellent last season. I do think, and this isn't, again, me like bringing him down, that last season he was in better form, and whether or not that was because he was starting more games or whatever, or like, you know, less injury troubles. But I think he had an injury at the start of this season, and he's not been the same since then. And he also had a red card last season at Hornchurch, which me and Ollie witnessed. It was like one of the earliest Bath City games we saw. that, you know, the red card probably changed his sort of like how, you know, Darren's selecting him or whatever, and then the injury is just one problem after another. So players go into streaks of form, and I think Alves is excellent. He probably should have come on a lot earlier in that game, to, if I'm being completely honest, because he has that creative output. But yeah, I think that is a very good point. I think Alves is good, but at the same time, I still think the absence of Jenkins-Davis would have affected us even with Alves on the pitch.
I mean, as well as the fact that like Alves, like he's been put in different positions by Darren as well. Like as well, he's been put on as a wing back at times as well, lingering around the back, and then sometimes he comes on as a sub for positions that you kind of go, well, that's not where he's meant to be. When you see him up front and he's pressing, he tries. And I will say, I will agree with you on this one, Oscar. Last season, I saw lots more out of him. And then after that injury, and especially after the red card, might have gone down a little bit. But still, he's still a class player. They're all class players. I cannot name like anything that's really disappointed me about the players. They all work so well, and Will is crucial for the team. Will just brings so much, and he works with them. He has great opportunities. He really presses. He really works hard for the team, and he's a star player for us. So again, seeing him not in the squad as well is a bit of a blow for the Bath lot. And like how you said, they do look a little bit lost and confused, and that is a bit of a sad thing. And again, but they do all work brilliantly, and we did see in the first half of this most recent game that they were trying. They were really trying, and it was really...
I think without, like, obviously we say that we were missing Will, which we were, but even then I think the first half of Maidstone, as we've mentioned, like when I was rewatching it, I realised actually we weren't playing that badly. I mean, Maidstone was still slightly on top, as you said, but it was only the 10-man decision that really changed the course of that game. I think even without Will, we probably would have been able to see out a 0-0 if it wasn't for that decision. Like, we were still coming forward in the second half as well. Like, their whole chance to create the penalty was just Greenslade with a misplaced pass. If he pulled that pass off, we would have been well in, to be fair. So, like, I think the team still played well. And I mean, like, obviously Maidstone were on top, and they were on top for the rest of the game after that red card. But it's just unfortunate, you know, the absence of Will certainly affected us and everything like that. And I mean, yeah, I mean, leading on to it, just because we don't have much more time, Dorking Wanderers next, FA Trophy round. We just want to briefly talk about that, but we've mostly spoken about Maidstone, the referee decision, and you know, the game as a whole. But Dorking next round of the cup.
I don't think it'll be easy.
Which one of you guys is gonna be there? That's the question. You think you'll be there?
It's going to be difficult because I have to go home from uni. I'm trying, but probably leaning towards a no at the moment.
I am really, really going to try, but at the moment, again, I'm not to talk about personal things because this is about progress. Again, work stuff, but still, talking about the game, whether I will or will not be there, it's a case of this is going to be a very difficult game. When we had Dorking at Twerton Park last game, we remember the red cards of the goalies. Remember?
Yeah. We've already talked
about this,
yeah.
bringing it back. But at the same time, this is going to be a tense game. This will be a good game to see, and hopefully should be a fun away day.
Yeah,
but
a lot of controversy with this fixture as well, and without a doubt there will be more. There always is. It's always Slough. It's always Dorking that has this controversial element to it. And you know, without a doubt, it probably will happen again, especially in a cup game. You know, a cup game, like, there's a lot more going on, a lot more fierceness. Like, it's a chance to play at Wembley, this competition. It's like, even though there's not as much money involved in it as the FA Cup, it's something that these clubs are much more likely to get to the final of. Like, Bath, for like, if this is the National League, like the non-league FA Cup, Bath are like a championship team, so they can go quite far. Like, if you're thinking about comparisons, then National League, Premier League, you know, whatever. So it's certainly something that, like, you know, I don't think there's much we've got to play for this season. So I want to see us go all out with this game, you know?
You said Bath City in the championship, and just immediately I just started crying from joy. Like, we just never reached that. I just I've packed out Twerton.
Well,
Park.
if you sort of view that in advance, that'd be something.
Mate,
but we're quite a way off that level yet. Maybe one day we will.
Going to Wembley would be absolutely excellent.
Yeah,
that would be beautiful.
That is what I'm living for this season, and that's why I'm really excited for the FA Trophy. I mean, I think Dorking away is a winnable fixture. You know, it's not like we've got, I don't know, Carlisle away, which would be very difficult. it would certainly be a nice away day to go to. But Dorking away is winnable. Like we usually play well against them.
It's not going to be easy though. You know, they're a good team. They want to get through as well, and we've got to bring our A game.
I mean, you just really pray as well that this string that we're having of just bad luck and all these games that seem either winnable or drawable, or ones where we go, okay, well, we're not playing our best here, or maybe we've lost, but we can still keep them fighting. And then this bad luck just chases us around. It's just like something that you just cannot get off you. So I'm really hoping, again, someday we shake this curse of the bad luck that Bath has brought along with them. Not only do we think this is a bad luck, but the fans have thought about it. We spoke to, not long ago at Odd Down, me and Oscar spoke to Darren about the bad luck. And unfortunately, it chases the team. No matter what we do, it chases us. And you just really hope, again, this could be a winnable fixture, but we just really hope this does not follow Bath again. We just want to get rid of this curse, just shake it away.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for the FA Trophy anyway, and hopefully you two will be there. I'll of course be there because I'm the ultra
number one fan.
The number one fan,
number one ultra.
So I've only missed one game all season, so I'm not going to miss this one for the life of me. You know, cup game. It's, you can't beat it. But yeah, I think we will wrap up this podcast. Just a quick one today. You know, speaking about Maidstone, I think it is a shame that the referee decision for Maidstone overshadowed the performance, because I mean it made all the talking points about the controversialness of that game as opposed to the football. But you know, I mean, Dorking next, fingers crossed. You know, FA Trophy. It's the last away game that I'm going to be going to of 2025 because
you're not going to Chippenham.
Of course not. I don't. My family home is not in Bath. I'm not spending Bath in Christmas. I'm going back to Hertford, mate.
Now the valid answer is that is a valid answer, but the also valid answer is no. I'm not going there. Why? It's Chippenham. It's Chippenham. The only bit of joy you get in there is the train station.
I'm not going to Chippenham and what I want to say. I mean, quality game, quality derby. But for me, it's Hertford Ware on the 27th of December for me.
And then I was going to say it's away, but most definitely, that is a good one. And my top for I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just going off one.
And we should probably also mention that over Christmas there will be something of a hiatus in our podcasting, most likely.
Well, yeah, of course.
As we are not here.
We'll get that. I mean, I'm over Bath for quite a lot, so I'll probably pump out a few more episodes, that's for sure. But for now, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed episode 4 of the Romans podcast. George, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much. It's been, glad you had me. It's been a good chat.
Yeah, your insights have been very good of the match, and we look forward to maybe having you on in the future as well. Thank you very much, and we'll see you all for the next episode. Goodbye.